Welcome to the Lady Landlords podcast, where we empower women to gain financial independence through real estate investing. I'm your host, Becky Nova, founder of Lady Landlords. If you're ready to buy, manage, and grow your real estate portfolio, then let's get started. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Lady Landlords podcast. Today, I want to address something that is probably on all of our minds. And what is that? Rising interest rates. There is so much conversation out there about what is really happening with our economy. What direction are we going? What is happening with these interest rates? And the ultimate question, should I buy or should I not buy? So let's dive into that. Well, anecdotally, I can say I am still buying. I recently closed on a duplex in the Hudson Valley over here in New York State. Yes, New York State. I am still investing in New York, and I will also address that shortly. But I recently bought that property, and honestly, I am still looking for properties. And that's something that I will continue to do until I find my next deal. But what is happening with our interest rates? These are things that I know are very concerning to a lot of investors out there. When we're sitting there looking into deal analysis, it's very different when a couple months ago, maybe we were putting 2s or 3s into our calculator, and now all of a sudden we're putting 7s and maybe even some 8s in it. That can completely change what your deals look like. And that's one of the reasons that I encourage you to get out there and start analyzing more deals. Start looking at some of those properties now. The reason I encourage you to do that is because, in my opinion, interest rates are going to continue to go up. So we kind of have some options here. I really do not think that we are probably ever going to see those interest rates of those 2s or 3s probably ever again in at least my lifetime. That's really not something I'm expecting. That really is going to have to take some other catastrophic change, like what we all lived through within the pandemic, to really hit those numbers again. And one, I kind of don't want to go back and live through that. And I don't want to have to deal with all the other consequences that came from that time. But also the chances of something like that happening again are also pretty low. Do I think there's a chance that interest rates can lower a little bit from where they are during my lifetime? Absolutely. But we're really going to be kind of seeing numbers steadily rise over the next couple of years. And if that's what I'm going to keep seeing, well, I kind of want to get involved in this a little bit sooner than later. Why is that? Well, as interest rates go up, yes, the idea is that house prices will have to adjust, and some of those prices will be coming down. The reason for that is because there's just a cap on how much people can really pay. We are the minority as real estate investors. Most people are out there buying houses for themselves. These are properties that are their forever homes, places that they're going to be long-term. We are the ones really looking to capitalize and make money on that. But when you think of that typical home buyer that will be living in that property as their forever home, there's a certain amount of money that they can actually spend. So for example, if they can spend that $3,000 a month on a mortgage, well, that's really what they have. It doesn't really matter if they are spending more money towards a principal or the interest. That's just what their cap and that's what their budget is. So as interest rates are going up, which is going to cost people more, those house prices we should be seeing at some point to start to come down. But to address that part, I personally would rather get more home than be paying more interest. So what I mean by that is I would prefer to still be buying now when interest rates still might be high, but still lower than I think they're going to go, because in that way I can still be spending more of that $3,000 on a mortgage. I want more of that money to be going towards the house. I want that larger asset. I want something that I'm going to be able to have that equity in, that I'm going to be able to borrow against, that I'm going to be able to leverage to be able to buy more properties moving forward. But if I end up waiting and now having a property, cool, the sale price might be lower, but that interest rate is higher, well, more of my money is going towards that interest. I'm getting less house for the same, if not more amount of money, depending on how high interest rates go. So personally, I encourage you to still kind of go out there and be looking for deals. If I'm finding deals here in New York, you can still find deals pretty much anywhere else. So I do encourage you to go look. Are they easy to find? No. But you know what? Usually nothing worth it is ever really easy. This is something that it's going to take time and we have to weed through things. A great episode that I recently did was about the duplex that I bought about 2 or so months ago, when I really explained how I was able to take a bad deal and turn it into a good deal by changing some of the terms of that deal. So if you've not listened to that episode, do make sure to go back and listen to that one on how to turn a bad deal into a good deal, because it's really going to be able to help you with your deal analysis at this point in time. But what we're kind of stuck in right now is those interest rates are going up, but we have really not seen so much of those housing prices kind of drop. So there is going to be a time when we're going to start to see a little bit of that inversion and the market's going to start to kind of correct. Personally, and I've said this before on the podcast, I am not expecting the housing market to implode. I am not expecting another 2008. We are just not in those types of conditions. But markets go up, markets go down. That's how the world works. So what goes up must come down, especially with these rising interest rates. So from that perspective, there is also a little bit of this waiting to see when sale prices come down. The problem is it's probably going to take a little bit higher interest rates to be able to start to see some of those prices coming down. I hear that that is starting to happen in some markets, but really not many. It seems that right now across the country, housing prices are really holding where they've been. So it's still a good idea to be able to go out. And if you are looking to try to purchase another property, it's a great time to kind of do that. We're also kind of going into the winter here. This is a great opportunity when there's not as many people buying houses and people are really kind of in a place to have to sell their properties if they're usually selling over the holidays. So it's a great opportunity to pick up a good deal with a house that is then still priced appropriately, that can still be appraised for what it needs to be, but maybe a little less competition than what a lot of us have been seeing over the past year. So the other reason that I am still buying real estate and that those interest rates do not scare me is because when interest rates are rising and house prices are still kind of stuck where they are right now, and we're kind of living through this period of great inflation, it is pricing out a lot of those typical home buyers. Once again, those people looking to buy their forever homes. They are either having difficulty being qualified for mortgages, or homes are just out of their budget at this current time. So a lot more of those great qualified people are being forced to stay in that renter's pool. This is continuing to drive up what rent prices look like, which honestly, as a landlord, is not necessarily a bad thing. This is how we really make our living. So we're seeing more people being able to kind of stay in this rental market. We're still seeing rents being driven up. And personally, I am seeing more qualified tenants than ever before applying for our apartments. This is something that I've been noticing over the past couple of months. And that's one of the reasons why, because there's a lot of people that wish or wanted to buy a property over the past 2 years, but due to lending restrictions during the pandemic, now due to inflation and just the cost of overall goods being higher, plus this interest rate. And we're also kind of then purchasing properties with people that don't necessarily have a great hold on what the market looks like or the economics of what's going to happen with this push and pull over housing prices versus interest rates. A lot of people are scared and a lot of people are afraid to get in the game right now, which leaves great opportunity for the rest of us. So do not be discouraged by interest rates now. Do your best to check your numbers. It is so important as a real estate investor to understand your numbers as well as you can, because that's how you're going to know if something's a good deal that you can go buy, or if you really need to kind of keep looking. Never go chasing for a deal, but you will find the right deal out there if you are looking for it and you work for it. So if you need help being able to identify if something is a good deal and what strategy is right for you, do make sure to check out the Lady Landlords Roadmap program. It's a program where we get to work together to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward and taking the right steps that you need to be successful within real estate investing. You can learn more at lady-landlords.com/roadmap. Thanks for listening today. Please do make sure to hit subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, or if you're watching us on YouTube, so you don't miss the next episode. We release new episodes of the Lady Landlords podcast every single Tuesday. See you next week. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate journey, visit lady-landlords.com/roadmap to book a one-on-one workshop with me. I'll help you determine your next best strategy. Or you could subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.